No one said no to the Princess of Aurelia. Not twice. Not publicly. And definitely not in front of the entire court. But that was exactly what I did. I hadn't planned to be there. Humans weren't exactly common in the inner circles of the Verilian Empire. We were tolerated, barely, useful for trade, navigation, and the occasional technical work that other species found inefficient. I was there because of a contract, a simple one. At least it was supposed to be. The Verilians had hired me as an independent systems analyst to diagnose irregularities in their orbital defense grid. Their technology was advanced, far beyond human standards, but like all complex systems, it had flaws. And I was good at finding them. Too good sometimes. Which is how I ended up being summoned to the palace. And then, somehow, invited to a royal selection ceremony. Observe only, the attendant had told me. I'm very good at that, I replied. That was a lie. The palace itself was alive. Not metaphorically. Actually alive. The walls pulsed faintly, responding to movement, adjusting structure and temperature as people passed. The air shimmered with embedded energy currents, invisible unless you knew what to look for. Everything about Verilian design was organic, adaptive, and just a little unsettling. The main hall was enormous, filled with representatives from across the empire. Each one a potential suitor. Because today, the princess would choose. Or, more accurately, reject. They say she hasn't accepted a single one, someone whispered near me. Not one, another replied. 3 cycles. Hundreds of candidates. And still no consort? None deemed worthy. I leaned against a structural column, arms crossed. Sound efficient, I muttered. A nearby Verilian glanced at me. You find this amusing, human? I find it predictable, I said. If you set the bar high enough, no one ever reaches it. That is the point, he replied. Is it? I asked. He didn't answer. The ceremony began with a shift in the room. Not a sound. Not a signal. Just a feeling. Like gravity had subtly changed direction. Everyone straightened. Conversations died. And then, she entered. The Princess of Aurelia didn't walk. She arrived. That was the only way I could describe it. One moment, the space at the far end of the hall was empty. The next, she was there. Tall. Composed. Perfectly still. Her presence carried the same quiet authority I had seen in only a handful of beings across the galaxy. But unlike them, there was something sharper about her. Something colder. Her gaze moved across the room, assessing. Not admiring. Not curious. Judging. One by one, the suitors stepped forward. And one by one, they failed. This alliance would strengthen. No. I bring resources from. No. My people offer. No. She didn't hesitate. Didn't elaborate. Didn't explain. Just. No. Over and over again. Some took it with dignity. Others a less so. But none argued. Because no one argued with her. Until I did. It wasn't intentional. Not at first. One of the suitors, a tall, heavily armored figure from a warlike species I didn't recognize, was making his case. My fleet alone could. It is insufficient, the princess said. The suitor stiffened. My fleet has never been defeated. That does not make it sufficient. A pause. Tension. Then, with respect, the suitor said carefully, Your expectations may be unrealistic. The room went silent. I sighed. Finally, I muttered. Too loud. Every head turned, including hers. That was my first mistake. My second. Not staying quiet. You're not wrong, I said, pushing off the column. But you're also not right. The guards moved instantly. Weapons angled toward me. Silence, one commanded. But the princess. She raised a hand, and they stopped. Her gaze locked onto mine. You, she said. Explain. I blinked. Explain what? Your interruption. I hesitated, just for a second, then shrugged. You're rejecting them for the wrong reasons, I said. That was mistake number 3. A ripple of shock moved through the room. You presume much, she replied. Do I? I said. You're not looking for strength, or resources, or alliances. And, you know what I am looking for? No, I admitted. But I know what you're not finding. Her eyes narrowed slightly. And what is that? I took a step forward. Someone who isn't trying to impress you, I said. Silence. Deep. Heavy. Then, leave. One of the guards snapped. But again, she stopped them. Continue, the princess said. At that point, I should have backed down, apologized, left. Instead, I kept talking. You've built this whole process around proving worth, I said. Power, status, capability. That is how leaders are chosen, she replied. No, I said. That's how people pretend to be leaders. The room went very still. Careful, someone whispered. Too late. You're not rejecting them because they're unworthy, I continued. You're rejecting them because they're predictable. Her expression didn't change, but something in the air did. And you're not, she asked. I smiled faintly. No, I said. I'm just not trying to win. That was the moment everything shifted. Not visibly, but fundamentally. Because for the first time, she looked at me differently. Not as a distraction. Not as an interruption. But as a variable. Step forward, she said. I did, ignoring every instinct that told me this was a bad idea. You are human, she said. Last I checked. You are not a suitor. Definitely not. And yet, you speak as though you understand this process. I understand systems, I said. This one's broken. A faint murmur spread through the hall. Broken, she repeated. Yeah, I said. You're filtering for the wrong traits. And what traits should I seek? I met her gaze. Someone who isn't afraid to tell you you're wrong. That should have ended it. Guards dragging me out. Contract terminated. Maybe worse. Instead, she did something no one expected. She smiled. Just slightly. Then tell me, she said. Am I wrong? I hesitated. Because this mattered. Yes, I said. Silence. Absolute. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Then, explain, she said. I took a deep breath. You're trying to choose someone who matches your power, I said. Your intelligence. Your control. And that is incorrect? It's incomplete, I replied. You don't need someone who matches you. What do I need? I shrugged. Someone who challenges you. Her gaze sharpened. I am not easily challenged. I noticed, I said. And you believe you can do so? No, I said. I believe I already am. That was it. That was the moment. The exact point where everything could have gone very differently. Because instead of rejecting me, instead of dismissing me like everyone else, she did something unprecedented. Then stay, she said. The room erupted. What? You will remain, she repeated, as an observer. I blinked. That's not how this works. It is now. The ceremony ended shortly after. No selection. No announcement. Just confusion. And me, standing in the center of it. What just happened? I muttered. You disrupted the process, a voice said behind me. I turned. One of the palace advisors. You are fortunate she did not have you removed, he added. Yeah, I said. I'm getting that a lot today. He studied me. She has never done this before. Before what? Showing interest. I frowned. That's not interest, I said. That's curiosity. He didn't correct me. The next few days were strange. I was given access to areas I had no business being in, invited to discussions I barely understood, and occasionally summoned by the princess herself. You observe much, she said during one of our conversations. It's my job. And what have you observed? I leaned back in the chair. That you don't trust anyone, I said. Her expression didn't change. That is not inaccurate. And that you're afraid of making the wrong choice. A pause. Incorrect, she said. I raised an eyebrow. Then why haven't you made one? Silence. Then, because none have been worthy. Or because none have been unpredictable, I countered. Her gaze locked onto mine. You continue to challenge me. You ask for it. Over time, something shifted between us. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but steadily. She began to ask questions. Real ones. Not about strategy or politics, but about perspective. Why do humans make decisions without full data? She asked once. Because waiting for perfect data usually means doing nothing, I replied. And that is preferable? Sometimes, I said, but not always. And how do you determine the difference? I smiled. You don't. That is inefficient. Yeah, I said, but it's real. One evening, she summoned me to a private observation chamber. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the transparent barrier. You are different, she said. From who? From those who seek my approval. That's because I'm not seeking it. Why not? I shrugged. Because I don't need it. She studied me. Everyone needs validation. Maybe, I said, but not from the same source. A pause. And you do not need mine? I met her gaze. No. That answer changed something. I saw it, felt it. A shift in the way she looked at me. Less guarded, more curious. Most would consider that arrogance, she said. Most people confuse confidence with arrogance, I replied. And which are you? I smiled slightly. Depends on the day. The next election ceremony was different. Not because of the suitors, but because of her. She listened more, observed more, and for the first time, she didn't reject immediately. After it ended, she approached me. Well, she asked. You're improving, I said. That is not a complete answer. You're still looking for the wrong thing, I added. And what is that? A perfect match, I said. That doesn't exist. And what does? I stepped closer. Connection, I said. She went quiet. Longer than usual. Then, explain. I exhaled slowly. You can measure power, I said. You can quantify intelligence. You can analyze compatibility. Yes. But connection? I continued. That's different. It's not predictable, not logical, and definitely not safe. And yet, you believe it is necessary. I know it is. She looked at me, really looked. And you have experienced this? I hesitated. Then, yes. Describe it. I smiled faintly. You don't notice it at first, I said. It's just different. The way someone thinks, the way they respond, the way they see things you don't. And this is sufficient? No, I said, but it's a start. She turned away, looking out at the stars. I have rejected hundreds, she said. I know, and none have been different. I stepped beside her. Maybe you've been looking in the wrong direction. She glanced at me, and where should I look? I met her gaze. Closer than you think. That was the moment everything changed. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because for the first time, she didn't look past me. She looked at me. I see, she said softly. Do you? I asked. A pause. Then, Yes. The announcement came the next day. Unexpected. Unprecedented. The princess has made her choice. The entire court gathered. Whispers filled the hall. Speculation. Anticipation. I stood at the edge, arms crossed. No way, I muttered. She entered. The room fell silent. Her gaze swept across the crowd. Then, it found me. Step forward, she said. I sighed. Of course. I walked to the center. Every eye on me. This is a mistake, I said quietly. No, she replied. It is a decision. You're going to regret this.
Possibly, she said.
But I will not avoid it. I shook my head. You rejected everyone, I said. For years. Yes. And now this. Yes. Why? She stepped closer. Because you are the only one who did not try to be chosen, she said. The room erupted.
Shock.
Disbelief. Outrage. But she didn't react. Didn't waver. Are you sure? I asked.
No, she said.
I blinked. That's not very reassuring. It is honest. I laughed softly. Yeah, I said. I'll take that. And just like that, everything changed. Not because I was special, not because I was the best choice, but because I was different. And for the first time, that was enough. Later, as we stood alone again, she looked at me. You were right, she said.
About what?
Perfection is not what I needed. I smiled. Took you long enough. She almost smiled back. And, in that moment, she wasn't just a princess. She was someone learning, for the first time, how to choose.